having been in the business a while, both of us, we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, and whether rates are 10% or 2% like they were for that short period of time, it is about the relationships that you're establishing, and I think that it starts internally with yourself and with your family, right? But then it moves on to whether they're realtor or builder relationships or referral sources, financial advisors, what have you. Hearing you say that you've enjoyed being the provider, is that something that you had early on in your life? Unpack that for me. Is that and where does that come from?
Well, great question. It did start very early. We all kind of grew up in whatever environment we're in, and we kind of make up stories about life, and we, oftentimes you observe your parents. And, what I saw with my parents, I feel like I have to say, my father's passed away and my mother's thankfully still alive, and I love them both. So it's kind of, they're amazing people. But there was some struggle. There were some financial struggles. My mom was in the real estate business, and
Okay.
and
Is she a realtor? Is that what
she was.
Okay.
She's been retired for a few years now, but that's part of why I'm in the mortgage business. I think is
Okay.
because she was in real estate, and I just kind of had this. I wanted to be in real estate, but I didn't want to do exactly what she did. So I think mortgage made sense to me. But she was a realtor in the 80s.
Okay.
And I was
Here in Austin?
here in Austin, and I was about 87. I was 12.
Okay.
And their
We had the
market
crash.
fell
Yeah.
apart. I mean, probably very similar to what's going on now.
Yeah.
I think it was worse then. And so her income went down.
Yeah.
And
Was she crushing it leading up to that? I mean, where would you?
we were. I mean, we had a house in Westlake and Westlake wasn't what Westlake back then wasn't what it is today. I don't think it's just where the wealthy lived or something. But it was good.
Those of us that don't know Westlake, right? You're born and raised Austin, but tell our audience a little bit about Westlake and what that represents, why that's important.
Well, Westlake is one of the areas that's more affluent, and I think at that time it was still kind of rural and it was building.
Yeah,
they were putting a lot of developments in there, and so.
But still only like 5 minutes from town. I mean,
really
that was a cool part about it. So you grew up in Westlake.
But it was south of the river, which was, for my dad was really a struggle because he grew up in Austin.
There's a stigma to that, right?
He was born north of the river. Westlake, south of the river. So it's a kind of funny story, I think. But and my dad was in the car business. I mean, he was a finance guy in the car business.
Okay.
And so that crashed too. So my parents took a huge hit financially. And I think being 12, 13, 14 and seeing that, and then it eventually led to a divorce, I thought, okay, I don't want to ever let this happen to me. And I'm going to figure out how to not, my life is going to be about doing better than my parents.
Right.
A lot of people, I think a lot of people do that. And so.
And doing better in what way? You talking about financially?
Well, financially.
Stability?
Financially.
Family?
And of course I had stories about the divorce. So I was like, I'm never going to get divorced.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it better and be a better father. And I think that what I've discovered, and again, anything I say, I'm not saying it's true, but it just seems true to me, is that people are motivated in two ways. One is fear, and one is, I call it freedom now.
Okay.
But
the F words, right?
The F words, yeah. And this is all fear stuff. Like I'm worried I'm gonna run out of money. I don't want that to, don't want to let this happen to my, in my life. I'm not gonna run out of money.
Yeah.
Like my parents.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get divorced like my parents.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a better father than my dad. I'm gonna, I'm gonna marry a woman that's better than my. It's like there's all these things it's all
competitive spirit, like an internal competitive spirit,
and
that you had?
It's very effective at driving people to succeed.
I think it's important for our audience to know that, right? To understand that whether you're in mortgage or whether you're in real estate or you're in other industries, what is it that happened in someone's younger lives, right, that then drove them to want to be better? And better being, it could be a number of things, right? Like just a better human being, first of all, right?
Right.
But from your standpoint, what I'm hearing you say is that you saw the struggles that your parents went through, and you recognized at an early age, because you're late 40s, 48?
47.
47, okay. And so, in 87, you were probably like 13, 14, somewhere like that, right?
I was 12, 12.
Okay, okay. So, clearly you saw that as a 12-year-old, and you're like, hey, I don't want to be like that. I respect and love my parents,
Mhm.
but I'm going to take what I'm learning here
Mhm.
as a 12-year-old, which is
Mhm.
really advanced,
Right.
right?
Right.
So from that point, forward as you go through middle school, high school, into college, kind of walk me through that, right? Because I want to find out at the end of the day, John, I think our audience, myself, I want to understand what makes you who you
Sure.
are, not only as a top producer, because I think that's critical mass for those
Mhm.
of us that are in our world that do well and those that want to do well. I think that they need to understand what it takes as a human being to
Mhm.
be able to sustain that professionally, but also, personally. So walk me through
Sure.
a little bit of, maybe your high school and in college years.
Yeah, I mean, I would describe because of that experience and because of what I decided as a 12 or 13-year-old, I was pretty serious. I didn't have a lot of fun. I was
Mhm.
pretty focused. I mean, I had fun,
Mhm.
but I didn't allow myself to to be like those guys that were overdoing it, the
Okay.
partiers. And,
Okay.
and so I
Were you
kind
into sports? Were you into what
man, I
activities were
really
you into?
wasn't because I was kind of motivated and I worked
Okay.
so I didn't sports didn't become a big thing for me because I did I think it was called DECA or something
Mhm.
where I got out like after lunch and I went to work. So I
I
got
remember
credit for
that.
going to
Yeah, you got
work.
credit for going to work.
So
Yeah.
I went to work in my junior and senior year. And and then I went to, college. It took me 7 years to finally get out of, finish college.
Okay.
Kind of goofed around
So I
for a
could probably
while.
name a couple of schools that's the requirement, right? Instead of
Well,
4 years,
it
it's
was
7,
Southwest
right?
Texas or Texas State, but
Well, you got out early after 7 years then, right?
yeah. I mean, I didn't quite get it figured out, and then at some point, I my wife, my ex-wife, but then the woman I was dating, she was a couple years behind me, and
Okay.
she got out of high school.
Okay.
We had dated some in high school, and then she started going to college, and I at the time I was like, I love this woman, and I can't let her beat me out of school. Like
Okay.
I can't let her get ahead of me. I think,
Okay.
and so it made sense to me to at least try to keep up with her.
Okay.
So she was a little more serious about college, so I got more serious, and then
And so you ended up going to the same college together
we did.
from high?
Yeah, we
Okay.
went to the same college, and then I got um, one of the reasons that I'm in the mortgage business, or I don't own the mortgage company, but
Mhm.
I consider it entrepreneur. There
No
was
doubt.
a class. It was called 0 Hour in high school,
Okay.
and you could take these kind of elective classes. And for whatever reason, I took this entrepreneur class, and they'd have entrepreneurs come in every once in a while and speak to us. And I remember this guy. He might have been the person who started Twin Liquors, or there may have been another family-owned liquor store back then. I
Mhm.
can't remember, but
Did
he
you have a
came in and
twin?
spoke.
Did you have a twin?
No, but he came in and spoke, and he talked about his business, and his wife worked with him in a kind of a family business. And I thought, that's what I want.